I, if I probably would have been more physically able, I probably would have stayed in the National Guard until I had the 20 years like my brother did, although he had some conflicting things when he finally retired about double dipping and all that. It was a great experience for me, and I really have a lot of treasure about it. I met a lot of good people. I learned a lot of things. I went on lots of maneuvers that were fun. Some of them were terrible because sometimes we would get by on 2 or 3 hours sleep for 4 or 5 days in a row. There's all kinds of things that I did when I was young, like drive Jeeps at night and blackout in the forest, and there's no way I could ever do that now. I don't know how we even did it then, but we did. I got to go, when I was in the original outfit in headquarters battery, I got to run radios at forward observer posts for artillery. I got to go up and fly around in airplanes as in a forward observer type deal to see how it was done. I got to fly around in helicopters occasionally. And of course, I got to drive lots of Army trucks. In headquarters battery. And I also had the opportunity one year, I think it was the last summer I was up there in the original outfit, 41st, not the infantry, but the 41st headquarters battery. I got picked by, his name was Captain Roger A. Barnhart, to drive his Jeep. He was the IG for the online field artillery batteries. So he was a real RA type guy, and you had to have fit shine boots and starch fatigues and all that. And so for a whole 10 days at that 2-week summer encampment, I drove him around as his driver, and that gave me an opportunity to drive him to staff meetings over at the main fort. And then I got to go, I drove him to inspect all of the field artillery units in the field. So we spent quite a bit of time at the gun emplacements while they were firing. And so there was, let's see, I think 3 battalions of 155s and 3 battalions of 105 howitzers and 1 battalion 8-inch guns. And so that was, I don't remember how many times, but I drove a lot of places to a lot of gun emplacements, and I never got to go anywhere. I always had to stand by the Jeep while he walked around and inspected everything. But it was an excellent way of being in close contact with a field artillery outfit and not being one. I understood then that how much difference it was to be in a support position and behind the lines than it would be to be on the lines, which is kind of the support I was always in. Operations, we dealt with, I don't know exactly when it was, but it was somewhere, I think the Army changed from pentomic to ROAD, and that is reorganized Army divisions, in 1956. And that's when the Army changed from Ike jackets and brown combat boots to the greens they still have now, pretty close, to black combat boots. And there was a lot of changes in the National Guard, so we got to do a lot of new things that we never done before. I was offered one time to go to Alaska on cold weather training, but I couldn't do it because of the job, because of my work. And all in all, there was a lot of good times in the military, and there was a lot of bad times. Nobody wants to be wet for a whole week. Of course, when people that were in combat, they had it 10 times worse than I ever did, but I learned a lot of things, and I guess overall I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if I had went full time in the service, whether I would really have liked it or not, but I guess it's kind of too late in life to worry about that. I don't know of anybody that I was in the Guard with early on that I know now, except my brother. And I talked to him about some of the stuff, and of course, when I was in the infantry outfit, he was a supply sergeant, so I never really spent much time with him. And I often wonder, I always considered myself lucky because joining the National Guard when I did, when I was 15 years old, there was a number of people who joined the Guard from the high school that I went to. We were drilled on Tuesday night, so I wouldn't get home till 12 o'clock at night. And a lot of the kids didn't go to school on Wednesday, and so of course that pattern was caught up by the administrators of the high school, and they found out that those kids were all in the Guard. And I think out of about 12 of us that joined the Guard on that weekend in them trucks, I think I was the only person who didn't get kicked out because I always went to school on Wednesday. And I know being in the Guard kept me out of Vietnam, although I don't know, I guess that's all hearsay of what would have happened to me if I hadn't have been in the Guard. Whether I would have got drafted or not, I don't know. Whether I would have passed the physical, I don't know. But I do know that my friend Cliff Dowling, who, when he graduated from high school, I was the only person that didn't join the Navy. And there was about 6 people that I knew that joined the Navy, and not all of them came back from Vietnam. One of our friends, Hans Drecon, he died of spinal meningitis in boot camp in San Diego, California, 2 weeks after he got there. And one of my best friends, Cliff, he was in the Navy and had joined for his second 6-year hitch, and he died on a riverboat in Vietnam. So I guess I was pretty lucky to have come through it the way I did. There was a lot of people that didn't make it out of Vietnam. I know that when I first moved here in '96, it was either '96 or '7, I don't know which, when the traveling wall came here, my wife helped me make a plaque, and I took it down and put it by the traveling wall, and I used to go down every day and spend a couple hours down there. And there was sure a lot of people that came, and there was a lot of emotional experiences that I had with them and other people. I would like to go back to Washington, D.C., but it's kind of pretty tough for me to fly on an airplane because of health problems. But I kept that, and I always have remembered Cliff, and I have a little kind of a shrine for him in my hallway in my house. And I just, through the Band of Brothers here in Prineville, bought and paid for a flag that'll eventually be displayed on the street in Cliff's memory. And so I guess the military experience for me was mostly a good thing. I wish that nobody ever had to go to war, and I think it would be a neat place if nobody ever did. And so that's kind of my thoughts.